In the last lecture, we talked about what factors influence ethical behavior and how we can make a better decision when faced with an ethical dilemma. Today, we will discuss how we can encourage ethical behavior. You must have heard about the data leak scandal of Facebook in the year 2018. It was reported that the data from more than 50 million Facebook users were inappropriately used by a British data analysis company. At that time, it seemed that everybody was talking about data leak scandal. The question is, how do people find out about this problem? If you have read news, you must know the answer. A former employee from the data analytic company became a whistleblower and disclosed how the company harvested data from millions of Facebook users without their consent. Here, we need to define whistleblower. According to Black's Law Dictionary, a whistleblower is an employee who refuses to engage in and/or reports illegal or wrongful activities of his employer or fellow employees. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg later admitted that his company has made mistakes in the data leak, and there is more to do, and we need to step up and do it. From this case, we can know that whistleblowing is a great way to encourage ethical corporate behavior. As former CEO of IBM, John Akers said, companies cannot be competitive in either national or international markets if they are not ethical. Then what are the benefits of performing ethical business practice? Actually, ethical business practices can lead to many positive outcomes, such as increasing productivity, improving stakeholder relations, and minimizing government regulation. Please think about what other benefits a company can get by conducting ethical behaviors. Another question is, what can managers do to encourage ethical behavior? Managers can do a number of things if they are serious about encouraging ethical behaviors. For example, they can hire employees with high ethical standards. They can develop codes of ethics and lead by example. They can support whistleblowing, and so forth. By themselves, such actions won't have much of an impact. But if an organization has comprehensive ethics programs in place, it can potentially improve an organization's ethical climate. Let's look more closely at the specific ways that managers can encourage ethical behavior and create a comprehensive ethics programs. First of all, employee selection. Some firms do pre-employment integrity testing to weed out applicants that are likely to be dishonest or engage in other undesirable workplace behaviors. Firms need to state that background checks will be conducted and references contacted. Use the interview to pose ethical questions to determine the applicant's integrity. The selection process, including interviews, tests, background checks, and so forth, should be viewed as an opportunity to learn about an individual's level of moral development, personal values, ego strength, and locus of control. A strong culture exerts more influence on employees than does a weak one. If a culture is strong and supports high ethical standards, it has a powerful and positive influence on the decision to act ethically or unethically. Second, developing codes of ethics. What does codes of ethics mean? Uncertainty about what is and what is not ethical can be a problem for employees. So, code of ethics is a formal statement of an organization's primary values and the ethical rules it expects its employees to follow. It is a popular choice for reducing that ambiguity. 90% of Fortune 500 firms have a code of ethics. And the research shows that 97% of organizations with more than 10,000 employees have a written code of ethics. The effectiveness of a code of ethics depends heavily on whether management supports them and how employees that violate the codes are treated. Unfortunately, codes of ethics may not work as well as we think they should. A survey of employees in U.S. businesses found that 41% of those surveyed have observed ethical or legal violations in the previous 12 months, including such things as conflicts of interest, abusive or intimidating behavior, and lying to employees. And 37% of those employees didn't report observed misconduct. Does this mean that codes of ethics shouldn't be developed? No. However, in doing so, managers should use the following suggestions. Organizational leaders should model appropriate behavior and reward those who act ethically. All managers should continually reaffirm the importance of the ethics code and consistently discipline those who break it. The organization's stakeholders should be considered as an ethics code is developed or improved. Managers should communicate and reinforce it regularly. Managers should guide employees when faced with ethical dilemmas. Third, leading by example. Doing business ethically requires a commitment from managers at all levels, but especially the top level. Why? Because they are the ones who uphold the shared values and set the culture tone. They are role models in terms of both words and actions, though what they do is far more important than what they say. If top managers, for example, take company resources for their personal use, inflate their expense accounts, or give favored treatment to friends, they imply that such behavior is acceptable for all employees. Fourth, protecting employees who raise ethical issues. As we introduced in the Facebook case, whistleblowing is a good way to disclose unethical practices. So it's important for managers to assure employees who raise ethical concerns or issues that they will face no personal or career risks. These whistleblowers can be a key part of any company's ethics program. How can employees be protected so they are willing to step up if they see unethical or illegal things occurring? One way is to set up toll-free ethics hotlines. Another way is to have in place a procedurally just process, which means making sure the decision-making process is fair and that employees are treated respectfully about their concerns. Backlash against the whistleblowers can be costly. There are some other methods too, such as avoiding unrealistic goals, providing ethics training, and accept independent social audits. Specifically, under the stress of unrealistic goals, otherwise ethical employees may feel they have no choice but to do whatever is necessary to meet those goals. Also, goal achievement is usually a key issue in performance appraisal. If performance appraisals focus only on economic goals, ends will begin to justify means. To encourage ethical behavior, both ends and means should be evaluated. For example, a manager's annual review of employees might include a point-by-point evaluation of how their decisions measured up against the company's code of ethics, as well as how well goals were met. More organizations are setting up seminars, workshops, and similar ethics training programs to encourage ethical behavior. Such training programs aren't without controversy, as the primary concern is whether ethics can be taught. Critics stress that the effort is pointless because people establish their individual value systems when they're young. proponents note, however, that several studies have shown that values can be learned after early childhood. In addition, they cite evidence that shows that teaching ethical problem solving can make an actual difference in ethical behaviors. That training has increased individuals' level of moral development, and that, if nothing else, ethics training increases awareness of ethical issues in business. Independent social audits evaluate decisions and management practices in terms of the organization's code of ethics. The fear of being caught can be an important deterrent to unethical behavior. Independent social audits, which evaluate decisions and management practices in terms of the organization's code of ethics, increase that likelihood. Such audits can be regular evaluations, or they can occur randomly with no prior announcement. An effective ethics program probably needs both. To maintain integrity, auditors should be responsible to the company's board of directors and present their findings directly to the board. That's all about the topic of social responsibility and ethics. In the next topic, we will discuss the first function of management, planning. Thank you.